Venga means let's go in Spanish. Vamos, venga, it's the same. Vamos, venga, 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 venga. Hello, my name is Daniel Olivella, the chef owner of Barlata Tapas Bar in Austin, Texas. Today we're going to do a garbanzo-based dish with romesco sauce. Romesco is the most typical sauce in Catalonia. I come from Barcelona, so this sauce is utilized with vegetables, with seafood, with rabbit, with all sorts of meats. However, it's got a thickened Asian, usually bread. My romesco, I make it gluten-free, and I use the hazelnuts to thicken it up. In many cultures, before we had electricity, people would pound ingredients together. The Egyptians are starting doing that, and if you see in Italy, they do it, in Mexico they do it, and in Spain we have a mortar that usually it's the last process in the dish. For romesco, we're going to use ñora peppers. If you cannot find ñora peppers from Spain, an ancho chili pepper works well. The idea is to bring this pepper back to life, so we're going to take the seeds out, and then we're going to cook it with lukewarm water for about 5 minutes to bring it back to some kind of texture that you can puree it. If you're not able to get the ñora pepper, an ancho chili pepper works as well, as long as it's not too spicy. We're going to roast some garlic, we're going to roast some tomatoes, and then we're going to use a nut. In this case, we're going to use hazelnuts, which we're going to roast as well. And we're going to season it with a little bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of salt, a little bit of black pepper, and we're going to use a very typical spice from Spain, which is called pimentón, which is a paprika that's fire roasted and smoked. That gives a lot of flavor and depth to the dishes and enhances a lot. And we're going to use as well roasted tomatoes. We're going to season it with blood orange vinegar and extra virgin olive oil. So the tempeh, which we're going to use in this garbanzo dish, it's a plant-based fermented protein. I don't really like tempeh out of the package. I think the flavor is not very enthusiastic. So I like to season it with paprika, salt, and pepper. I drizzle it with olive oil, and then I sear it in a non-stick pan. In Spanish, we call it a la plancha, which is basically cook on a flat top. Another cool thing about the tempeh, it's the texture that it has and the nuttiness. We're going to start making romesco by rehydrating the ñora peppers. Rehydratar, we say in Spanish. This is a dry pepper, which we cannot use it right now. It needs to be brought back into life. So the peppers, they have seeds inside, and it is better to clean the seeds before you cook it. Otherwise, it's going to be impossible. So you see the seeds inside, so we're going to get rid of as many seeds as we can, because you don't want to stumble into this when you eat it, when you're having the romesco. So we're going to use this amount of peppers. You hear the crunchiness. You see how easy it's to take the seeds out of them once you do it at the beginning. And this process will take about 5 minutes in water. We're going to use about 7 or 8 of them, which should be enough to make romesco for 4 people. So we got some water here that's lukewarm, a little hotter than lukewarm. So we're going to drop the peppers inside the water for about 5 minutes. So the peppers are already brought back to life. It is important that they always stay submerged under the water, otherwise they're going to get soft. Now we're going to drain them. And you see that they change color, they're soft, and we can puree them now. So we want to put the peppers on the side here, and now we're going to start focusing on the vegetables. First thing we're going to do is roast the tomatoes and roast the garlic. Get yourself some whatever seasonable tomatoes you can find. They're soft, they're juicy. We're going to core them, and we're going to put them. I have an oven here at 350 degrees. One thing I recommend to do is I cross them like this. You can peel them easier at the end. Once the tomatoes are ready to go in the oven, I like to drizzle them with a little extra virgin olive oil, which I use mostly as my fat Asian in my food. Extra virgin olive oil, I think it's great for flavor, also for depth. Okay, so we got the tomatoes, and then we got some garlic here, which we're gonna roast as well. I'm going to cut a third of the garlic off like this. When we roast it, it's going to come out easy. and we're gonna use 2 garlic heads. We got the oven at 350 degrees. We're gonna introduce this in the oven, and it's gonna cook for about 12 minutes, 10, 12 minutes until it's roasted. If we didn't have the hazelnuts roasted, these are already pre-roasted, we could put them in the oven and finish them. But we're gonna do it anyhow because I always recommend, if you have roasted your nuts yesterday or a week before, we put them in the oven for about 10, 15 seconds to bring them back to life as well. So it is important in white beans and garbanzos to soak them for a few hours because it's gonna help you to tenderize them, and the process of cooking, they're gonna hold the shape better, and also they're gonna be more tender. Okay, I have drained them, we got some water here. Start always with fresh water. Dump the water that you've been soaking them with and start with fresh water. I like to start from cold water and put them to cook. There's a lot of garbanzos here. And you could flavor these with carrots, with leeks, with onions, but particularly myself, I only like to put bay leaf. A little drop of extra virgin olive oil. And if you want at this point, maybe a little bit of salt. Nothing else. So I'm going to put them to cook. And that's going to take about 20 minutes. 20 minutes if you have soaked them in water. Take much longer if you have not soaked them in water. So we're going to start preparing now the tempeh a la plancha. As I said before, tempeh out of a bag, it's flavorless for me. So we're going to cut it. I always recommend, it's almost hard to get out of the bag, but it works very well for me to do it this way. Cut it in half, then just push it out. We're going to do the same with this one here. We're going to dice it, and then we're going to season it with a little bit of pimenton, which is the Spanish smoked pepper, a little bit of cayenne, a little bit of salt, and a little bit of brown sugar. Okay, so once this is done, I like to cut it in little squares. Very careful not to cut your fingers. Up and down. And we're just going to dice it. Okay, once it's diced, I'm going to put a little bit of pimenton on top, little tiny bit of cayenne pepper, a little bit of salt, a little bit of brown sugar. We're going to drizzle this with extra virgin olive oil, and then we're just going to mix it up. Okay, I have a good non-stick pan in here. I'm going to drizzle some olive oil. And basically what we want is just to sear the tempeh and allow the seasoning to give it a layer of crunchiness. You can see that it's almost done because it's getting all toasty, and if you can touch it, it's firm. Before it was falling into little pieces, but this is, for me, it's done. So I'm just gonna dump it in here. So the next step we're gonna do here, we have the pan already hot, and we're just gonna saute the spinach briefly, and then chop them. I got some garlic in here. We're just gonna chop the garlic, and then we're gonna saute the spinach with olive oil, a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, and you're gonna see that big pile of spinach is gonna become a very small handful of spinach very quick. We're gonna bring the pan back in here, which is hot already. I'm gonna put some olive oil, and I'm gonna put the garlic on it. And the garlic is gonna go very, very, very quick. So I like to wait for the garlic to the point it's almost burned, but not burned all the way. But I hope I'm gonna show you like this, you understand what I mean. So once you see the garlic changing color, like it is now, see it's starting to change color, getting brown, and you just pour your spinach. Okay, gonna season that a little bit with salt. I'm just gonna like wilt them basically. All right, the tomatoes are roasted. Now I just wanna be able to cool them off to peel them. They're very hot, so I'm gonna let them sit for about 5 to 10 minutes to be able to be manageable and be able to hold them with my hand. You can see that they're soft. You can see the garlic is roasted as well. We're just gonna wait, okay? Okay, so while we're waiting for the tomatoes to cool off, we got the spinach that they're cool now. We're just gonna chop them. And I usually do a lot of spinach at home. And at this point, I would recommend if you do an extra batch, you could chop them and freeze them. They're gonna last for a while. Part of the idea of eating this plant-based food too, it's to create a pantry and also to create the space in your freezer that you have a bunch of things that they're cooked there and that you can use them in the last minute. All right, I can see the tomatoes are done because you can touch them, they're very soft. They're going to be very easy to peel, as you can see. I do it with my hands, we're going to use the knife. And I let them cool enough like I can handle them. So you see by crisscrossing them, the way we did it, they're going to be very easy to peel. So you see there is no skin left. We're going to pour them here in this blender. I brought my Thermomix, but you can use any kind of food processor that you have at home. If you have a mortar, do it with a mortar. But any blender that you have at home, it will work. We got the tomatoes inside, and now we got the garlic, which in theory, by pressing it, you see it comes out. So we're gonna use the garlic cloves, pour all of them here, try to make sure none of the skin falls, just the flesh of the garlic. You see how easy it comes out? You could have done this with already peeled garlic, but myself, I like to use fresh garlic. Okay, so we got the tomatoes, we got the garlic, we got the ñora peppers that we brought back to life. Okay, I'm gonna pour all of them in here. Okay, and we got the roasted hazelnuts. Okay, so once we have everything here, we're gonna start pureeing it. Then I'm going to add some olive oil. This is going to give a lot of richness, little bit of acidity. And now we're going to season it with pimentón, which is the Spanish smoked pepper. A little bit of this, a little tiny touch of cayenne pepper. We can always add some more, but it's spicy. And a little bit of salt. And now we're just gonna puree these until it's all very fine. This should be enough. And so here we go, we got our romesco here. Okay, we're gonna pour the romesco here. You can see we got more romesco than we needed today, but myself, I like to make big batches and freeze it too at home. Because then you can always, if you make a pasta, you make some rice, you make some grilled vegetables, you always have your romesco ready. Okay, at this point, we got everything. We got our romesco, we got the spinach, we got the tempeh, okay, we got the garbanzos, and that's all we need to make our dish. Okay, so we're gonna start by putting some of the garbanzos here. I have this perforated spoon. We're gonna add some of the spinach. And this is now just a matter of mixing up everything. I'm gonna put some of the tempeh. I'm gonna add the romesco. We can always add some more. And now we're gonna put some chia seeds. Okay, we're gonna put a little bit of cumin. I always like to put some cumin in my garbanzos. And then we're gonna put pumpkin seeds and then some currants. We got a little bit of all sorts of dry fruits here. And just gonna stir it, and then we're gonna see if we need to put some of the cooking water or some more olive oil. Okay, we're gonna mix it up. I'm just gonna taste a little bit to see the seasoning's all right. I think it's fine. Maybe we can add a touch of salt, a little bit more of pimenton, a little bit of cumin. And this would be our garbanzos with romesco. I'm gonna grate a little bit of orange zest on top of it. And that's it. We can always drizzle it too with a little bit of rice vinegar. I like to, for acidity too at the end.
Hi, my name is Kate. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm also certified in plant-based nutrition. Today we're going to talk about all of the different ingredients in this meal and why they go together. So to start, let's talk about the tempeh. This is our plant-based protein, or one of them in this recipe. So tempeh is typically fermented soy, but it also can have grains in it such as brown rice and millet. But if you do want to get a gluten-free option, those are available. Then moving from there, we have the chickpeas, and they're a legume. So there's plant-based protein, iron, and fiber in them. So they're a great addition to any meal. You can buy them canned. You can also soak them. That can help with digestion and absorption when you do soak them. Moving on to our spinach and our tomatoes. Spinach is a great source of plant-based iron, and tomatoes are rich in vitamin C, which helps to absorb the plant-based iron in spinach. Tomatoes also have lycopene, which is an antioxidant and an important in your diet. From there, we've got some pumpkin seeds and hazelnuts. Both of these add a nice crunch to your meal. They also have some good fats, fibers, and proteins. So all together, you can see that this is a beautifully balanced meal as well as super delicious.